short.
Someone broke into my sister's house.
She had been struck so many times.
There's blood everywhere.
There was a trail of blood that led to the bathroom.
She was running for her life.
A grieving family demands justice.
How did something this horrible happen?
If I get my hands on the son of who did this, I'm gonna kill him.
But was it a crime of passion?
He was full of rage.
To the point where they're not able to control it.
Or did an unpaid debt exact the ultimate price?
He's really drowning.
He just wasn't able to keep up. Things are getting worse and worse and worse.
September 22nd, 2015. It's Tuesday night in Charleston, South Carolina, the Palmetto State's oldest city.
Charleston is really the epitome of the South. It has so much Southern culture, lots of restaurants, lots of shopping.
You have that deep community feel when you go to Charleston.
But the community is about to be shocked by one family's unspeakable tragedy.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
My sister's been attacked.
Around 10 o'clock, 911 dispatchers got a call from a man who was clearly shaken. He's saying his niece had called and asked him to check on her mother, 69-year-old Barbara Little.
Barbara!
As soon as Barbara's brother went into the home, he could tell that something horrible has happened.
Someone broke into my sister's house.
You could tell that there was some type of struggle that had happened.
The house has been ransacked.
But the real horror is in the home's bathroom.
He sees something that a brother would never want to see.
He found his sister laying on the floor.
There's blood everywhere.
The dispatcher routes paramedics and sheriff's deputies to the caller's location. It's a neighborhood across the Ashley River, just outside the city limits.
Although it may be too late.
All right.
Oh, wait, the death.
You can hear the distress in his voice, the concern in his voice.
I think she was fired.
For 69-year-old Barbara Little, nothing was more important than family.
She loved her family. She loved spending time with them.
She was the matriarch in the heart of her family, and everyone would come to her for things, whether it just be a hug or someone to listen to them. She was definitely that person.
And she brought those same caring qualities to her career.
She worked as a nurse for many, many years.
She wanted to care for people. She wanted to leave them better than she met them.
And she'd climbed all the way to a clinical administrator position by the time she was done.
Barbara Little was now retired, and she loved this phase of her life.
Most of all, she loved having more time to spend with her grandchildren.
What makes being a grandparent special, it's like you're getting to parent, but you get to do with them what you may not have been able to do with your own children.
There'd been no second chance for Barbara's marriage, though.
Barbara had been married to a gentleman by the name of General, who was a medical doctor for the VA.
Barbara and General had been married many years.
They got a divorce in 1997 after the kids were grown.
They just grew apart as couples do. You know, when the kids get older and they leave the house, people change.
But while they'd split, the couple remained close, at least geographically.
General only lived a little more than a mile down the road from Barbara.
He was still very active in the life of his kids, very active in the life of his grandkids.
But for Barbara, family was even closer.
Their youngest daughter was living at home with Barbara.
She was looking for a new job.
So while she might be retired, her nest wasn't empty, and her golden years were full of joy.
She had earned that. She had worked so long as a nurse and a clinical administrator that she really had earned that time to spend with her children and her grandbabies.
She was living life and loving life and spending time with her family, and she was really just enjoying the fruits of her labor.
But now, it appears Barbara's season of well-earned rest has been violently cut short.
Barbara's brother has just called 911 and reported finding her inside her house.
She's in a pool of blood.
Her body is cold to the touch.
Do you think she's beyond any help?
I do.
The dispatcher routes first responders to the house.
But Barbara's brother isn't willing to wait for the police to arrive.
I have my weapons and I'm going to check the house.
So Barbara's brother is a retired police officer. So he wanted to see if the intruder or if the perpetrator was actually still inside of the home.
Sir, please wait in your vehicle and do not
No,
disturb.
ma'am, I will not wait my vehicle. When your officers get here, I will relinquish my weapon to them.
He told her, I understand what you're saying, but you need to understand what I'm saying. I'm going in there.
And he doesn't care about the danger.
He's very adamant. If someone is there, there's going to be trouble.
He was going to take matters into his own hand.
If I get my hands on the son of a she did, I'm going to kill it.
At 69 years old, retired nurse Barbara Little was looking forward to spending her golden years taking care of her 5 grandchildren.
She really loved being around her grandchildren. She really loved spending time with them, and they really looked up to Barbara.
But now, Barbara's brother has called 911 after finding her lying on the floor in a pool of blood.
There's blood in the foyer. She was attacked in the hallway.
And rather than wait for the police, Barbara's brother intends to see if his sister's assailant is still in the house.
Even though he was retired, he had his gun and he was ready to take matters into his own hands.
I am a trained, retired police officer.
The dispatcher urges Barbara's brother to wait outside.
The deputies are on the way, and they are requesting that you put your gun up and wait outside.
Listen, ma'am, I understand what you're saying. I truly understand what you're saying. But at the time right now, there's only one thing that I have on my mind. And that's making sure that there's no one in this house.
He said, no way, there's nothing going to keep me from going through the whole house.
His training helped out so much with this because even though it was a really stressful situation, he was still able to remember, like, okay, don't touch anything, don't step on anything, don't contaminate the scene.
He cleared the house. There was nobody in the house, and that was it.
When first responders arrive, there's nothing they can do for Barbara.
No pulse.
The EMTs confirmed that she was, as he unfortunately suspected, no longer with us.
From her injuries, it appeared that she had been bludgeoned to death.
And just as her brother had told the dispatcher, it's clear the attack didn't begin in the bathroom.
There was a trail of Barbara's blood.
It appears as though whatever happened started in the foyer, but then the blood goes down the hall, into the living room, next to the coffee table, and it ends in the bathroom.
Police are guessing that she was attempting to lock herself in the bathroom to sort of ward off the assault.
But the assailant was right behind her.
There were footprints in the trail of blood.
It looks like she was being pursued. It seems as though she was trying to run away from her perpetrator.
Barbara was running for her life down that hallway.
And her attempted refuge was unsuccessful.
Unfortunately, her final moments were in her bathroom.
Then, once Barbara was dead, it appeared that the killer attempted to conceal the crime.
There were some things like towels.
There's a bloody blanket as well. Whoever did this definitely tried to clean up the mess.
But it was just too much blood, and it was basically impossible to do that.
However, it appears that Barbara's killer did manage to conceal one thing.
There is no murder weapon on the premises.
Although whether it was something the killer brought with them or an object that they picked up at the crime scene remains unclear.
Figuring that out falls to Charleston County homicide detectives, who begin their investigation by talking to Barbara's brother.
He told them that he had gotten a call from his niece. She had been trying to reach her mom. Her mom wasn't answering the phone.
So that's when she calls her uncle, Barbara's brother.
Do you mind running over there to check things out?
Sure. I can do that.
So he did. He went over there. And when Barbara's brother got to the house, the main front door was open, but the glass door was still closed. So he started banging on the door. No one was answering. And when he tried opening the glass door, he found that that was not locked at all.
Barbara, are you here? Barbara!
But when he went inside, it wasn't long before the retired police officer realized he'd walked into a crime scene.
He sees blood. He sees that there's a struggle in the home. It looks as though the place has been ransacked.
This looks like it was a home invasion gone really, really wrong.
Or is that just what the attacker wanted you to think?
There was like no big ticket items that were taken, a TV or jewelry or nothing of that sort was taken.
And there doesn't appear to be any type of forced entry into the home.
Then you start thinking that it might have been somebody that she was comfortable with.
But before the detectives can go any further, they're interrupted by a disturbance at the perimeter.
Barbara's daughter, the one who lives with her, ends up arriving on the scene.
No, let me in! Let me in! She's distraught. She's trying to push her way through it because she wants to get into the house and go to her mom and see what exactly is going on.
We'll take it from here, officer.
She knew in her gut that something was bad.
Where's my mom? Let me see her.
The detectives stop her and give her the horrific news.
Ow! I just left her an hour ago.
She told them that she had just seen her mom earlier that evening, but she left because she had gotten a call from her father to have a late night dinner.
Her father called her, which is very typical because he doesn't like to eat alone when he leaves work late.
But she says that what happened next wasn't typical at all.
Barbara's daughter was waiting at the diner and her dad wasn't showing up.
She started calling his phone and he wouldn't answer.
He never showed up.
Detectives investigating the murder of Barbara Little have just learned that her daughter was supposed to have dinner with her father, Barbara's ex-husband, earlier that evening.
They were supposed to meet at one of their favorite diners.
What time did you leave?
Around 8:30. She went and she even ordered food that he said he wanted to have ready when he walked in.
But he never showed.
As the daughter's waiting, she calls her father.
He didn't answer. She continued to call. She couldn't get an answer from him.
Then she decided, okay, maybe I'll call my mom. Maybe she's heard from dad. So she tries to call her mother.
She didn't answer either.
She's not understanding why neither of them are answering, but now she's jumped into problem-solving mode. And that's when she calls her uncle.
She asked her uncle to please go over there and check on her.
Eventually, her father called back.
But the diner was about to close in 20 minutes.
So he suggests, all right, I know a 24-hour diner. Let's meet up there. I'll see you over there in a bit.
She was kind of confused at this point, but she just obliges and starts to go to the other location.
So then on my way driving there,
My uncle calls.
Her uncle tells her that he found her mother, and she immediately reroutes to her mother's home.
How did I got here?
She sees all of the police officers, all of the detectives.
And she just was distraught, totally distraught.
Giving Barbara's daughter a little time to regain her composure, the detectives contact her father, Barbara's ex-husband, General Little.
They told him what happened to Barbara.
They said that they needed to speak to him as soon as possible and asked him if he would come over to the crime scene.
He tells the detective he'll be there right away.
He was like literally just over a mile away.
But despite General's promise, he's a no-show for a second time that evening.
The police are waiting and waiting and waiting.
Fed up by the delay, the detectives eventually send deputies to General's house to bring him in for an interview.
They need some questions answered.
When the deputies arrive at the house, General still hasn't left.
He said he'd come right over to Barbara's, but his car's still out front.
It's parked a little bit funny. It's straddled against the lawn and part of the driveway.
They notice one of the windows down, and they do what they do, which is they take a peek inside the roll-down window.
And they notice something very peculiar.
Check it out.
They were able to see some kind of hand towel as well as a splotch of blood on the center console.
But before they can investigate further, General steps out of the house.
Dr. Little?
That's right. You hear about what happened to Barbara, aren't you?
They explain, we do need to talk to you, and we would really appreciate it if you would come down to the station with us.
I can do that.
General Little is very cooperative. He said he'll do whatever it is that they wanted him to do.
After escorting General to the station, the deputies contact the detectives and tell them what they discovered.
They say, hey, we took a look in the car that's in the driveway, and something in there looks an awful lot like blood.
So while General waits to be interviewed, the detectives pay a visit to his house.
They see the exact thing that the first officer witnessed, and they immediately request a search warrant.
They want to get that into evidence immediately because that's very suspicious.
Then the detectives head to the front door.
General's new wife answers the door.
How you doing tonight, man? How you doing?
I'm well. I heard about what happened to Barbara.
She knew about Barbara Little's death. She said that General had told her about it.
You mind if we ask you a few questions?
No, not at all.
They start by asking her what time General came home from work.
She said she's not really sure, but he came in for a little bit, and then not that long after headed out to go have dinner with his daughter at the diner.
And what she says next raises red flags for the detectives.
So exactly what time was that?
See, I'm not really sure.
She believes that was sometime around 10 o'clock.
Which means he didn't leave until well after his daughter left Barbara's.
According to his new wife, 69-year-old General Little didn't leave to meet his daughter until almost 10 o'clock on the night his ex-wife died.
According to his daughter, they were supposed to meet up when he got off work around 9 o'clock.
He never showed up, and she started calling his phone, and he wouldn't answer.
So now detectives wonder, where else had he gone?
The detectives have reason to suspect he'd gone to his ex-wife's house.
He lives about a mile or so away from Barbara.
There was no type of forced entry.
Which suggests that the killer may have been someone Barbara let inside the house.
Then we add to that the fact that when they get to General's house and they look in his SUV, they see a towel and a substance that looks an awful lot like blood.
So exactly what time did your husband get back?
I'm not really sure.
But when he returned, he explained to her that Barbara had been murdered.
He said his daughter had called him and told him what happened.
Ma'am, you mind if we come in and take a look around?
No, not at all.
It seemed like she had nothing to hide.
However, the detectives soon wonder if that's true.
When investigators go into the bathroom, they start to notice something that's very suspicious.
They noticed a very strong smell of bleach and cleaning products.
Why does it smell like bleach in here?
When they asked General's wife about it, she said she'd cleaned the bathroom earlier.
However, the bathroom does not look like it had been cleaned within the last couple days. And in fact, it was kind of unkempt and out of order.
Although there could be another way to explain the smell.
If General had killed Barbara, he could have come home, taken a shower, and quickly cleaned up any blood left behind.
They're thinking, okay, we're on to something.
To confront their theory head on, detectives head back to the sheriff's office to take General's statement.
As they begin interviewing General, they notice that he didn't have any injuries, no marks or scratches or anything.
Which is interesting considering the nature of the crime scene.
You could tell that there was some sort of struggle inside of the home.
And his shoes didn't appear to be a match for the bloody prints the killer left all over Barbara's house.
Still, the detectives aren't ruling him out just yet.
So when did you last see Barbara?
Oh, about last month sometime.
He says that the last time that he saw Barbara was August when he dropped off the alimony check to her.
Did you give her a check this month?
Not exactly. We switched to automatic payments.
The alimony payments were taken directly out of his account and placed into Barbara's account.
So how much money was it?
He told them, I pay $26,000 a year, which is $2,200 every month.
That's quite a bit of money.
I won't argue with you about that.
But as a doctor, it's likely he could afford it.
He was making a very decent living, around $200,000 a year.
So no bad blood between you two then?
Nothing like that. I mean, we've been divorced for a long time.
Next, detectives try to establish a timeline for General's evening.
He doesn't get fidgety and antsy. He was super cooperative, no problem at all.
He said that he came home around 7:30, and then after that, he looked on the computer because he was trying to find a job for one of his daughters.
What sort of job?
Federal mostly.
With General working at the VA, maybe he can pull some strings. Maybe he can help give his daughter an in.
That's when you called your daughter?
Yeah,
What time were you supposed to meet?
9:30.
But before he could make it to the restaurant, he got a call from his daughter.
Where are you? I already ordered your food and they're about to close in 20 minutes.
General informed his daughter that something had come up, but he'd be on his way soon.
However, she tells him that the diner is closing. And so he has a suggestion. Let's meet at a diner that's open 24 hours. And the daughter agrees.
But then General says his daughter called him again and told him the terrible news.
Yeah, that's when she told me that Barbara was dead.
While General has been cooperative so far, his demeanor drastically changes with the mention of obtaining a search warrant for his house and his car.
He was no longer calm, cool, and collected. He was not cooperative anymore. He was very impatient.
He pretty much demanded that they take him home.
The detectives agree with General. Okay, sure, we'll let you go home.
But not before collecting his clothes as evidence.
They didn't see any blood on him, but there's no telling what the crime lab might find.
Then the detectives drive General home.
General Little arrives back to his home to find CSI looking for evidence.
So they have to wait outside.
They took the items out of the car and they also swabbed it to send off for DNA analysis.
Also going through the whole house, being very, very careful.
They're trying to find anything that can connect him to this murder.
And it's what investigators find inside a plastic bag by the front door that could break the case wide open.
Inside of that bag is a pair of shoes.
And wouldn't you know it, the shoes look like they have blood on them.
Not only that, the tread of the shoes seemed to be the same tread that was at Barbara Little's house.
During a search of General Little's home, CSI has found what appears to be damning evidence linking him to the murder of his ex-wife, Barbara.
While inside of the house, they found a bag with a pair of shoes inside, and the shoes had blood on them.
Not only do they appear to have blood on them, when the police look even closer at the bottom of the shoe, the tread appears to match the indentation seen in the blood at the crime scene.
But will the bloody shoes be all they find?
We still need the weapon. So they're searching the home for it.
Although since detectives suspect Barbara had been beaten to death with a blunt object, the weapon could be a number of things.
They're looking for any type of object that appears to have blood on it or that has appeared to look like it may have been broken.
They searched the house, they searched the trash bins, nothing.
However, when the detectives received Barbara's autopsy report, the findings do at least confirm their suspicions about how she died.
It was determined that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head.
It was just such a violent act. It was just so brutal.
She had been struck so many times, they couldn't tell exactly how many blows there had been.
However, even with having that information, they still aren't able to really determine the type of weapon that was used.
The detectives have more luck identifying a possible motive.
Have a seat right here, please.
When detectives had a chance to speak to Barbara's son, it kind of peeled back another onion layer of what we didn't know.
Barbara's son was able to give police information about what was going on financially with the alimony payments.
Earlier, when he spoke to the detectives, General had readily admitted that he paid an alimony amount of $26,000 per year.
General is a doctor. He makes $200,000 a year. So when you're making that amount of money, it seemed doable.
However, their son says his father was struggling to keep up with the payments.
Yeah, he was pretty behind. Oh, really?
She was actually owed more than $50,000 in back payments from General Little.
That's why the money was now coming directly out of his paycheck.
The son had helped Barbara fill out the paperwork to expedite this thing and get this thing done so that she would receive the payment that he owed her.
The detectives suspect the money General owed Barbara had become a motive for murder.
One could imagine there's a level of anger, there's a level of resentment, a level of how do I get rid of this problem?
Things are looking worse and worse for General.
And when the detectives go through the clothes they'd taken from him the night of the murder, General's story falls apart even more.
In the pockets, they found his wedding ring.
There was no wedding band on his hand during the interview, and they believed that he had removed the wedding band before going into the interview room.
Looking at the ring, it's not hard to guess why he would do that.
The wedding ring seemed to have some dried blood on it.
In addition to the ring, the detectives also find a Walmart receipt in his pants pocket.
That was time-stamped 11:14 p.m., the night of the murder.
During General's interview with detectives, he never mentioned anything in his timeline of the night that he had went to Walmart.
He purchased a hand towel and 2 bottles of rubbing alcohol.
Those 3 items will definitely tell a story that someone is trying to clean something up.
To confirm it was General who had purchased the items, detectives request surveillance footage from the store.
They find that it was indeed General Little at that particular Walmart at 11:14 buying those supplies.
They noticed that he paid for everything in cash.
And he also had his wedding band on his hand while making that transaction at Walmart.
Which appears to confirm the theory that he had noticed the blood shortly before the interview and hastily stuffed it in his pocket.
The investigators are now convinced that General Little is his ex-wife's killer.
It just seems like all of the evidence is falling together.
But they need to be very careful that they have the right person.
He was a physician here in Charleston, and he was a very popular guy. He was well-known, well-liked, no prior history of any sort.
And it might be hard for people to believe he committed such a heinous crime.
So before making the arrest, they want to be absolutely certain.
The blood that was found in this SUV was sent to state law enforcement for testing and analysis.
And when the results come back from the lab on October 14th, the implications are clear.
The blood inside of General's SUV was a DNA match for Barbara Little's blood.
And the blood on the shoes matched the blood at the crime scene.
That is Barbara's blood, and it places him at the crime scene.
Let's go.
Detectives investigating the murder of Barbara Little have learned that the blood found inside her ex-husband's car and on his shoes are both a match for her DNA.
They had Barbara's blood on him, and that was conclusive. It shows that he was there when she was injured.
With all the evidence, they have enough to arrest General.
Later that same day, the detectives take General Little into custody without incident.
He refuses to be interviewed by detectives again.
But he can't stop the police and prosecutors from building a case against him.
Detectives actually dig into his financial records.
And they discover that his alimony payments weren't his only money troubles.
He was making around $200,000 a year, but it was a facade.
General was not a good money manager. His debt-to-income ratio was very high.
He had creditors that he owed money, including for his home, his SUV, and he just wasn't able to keep up.
He had hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax liens.
And his financial house of cards was on the verge of collapse.
The afternoon Barbara was murdered, General was served with even more papers.
General was ordered by the court to pay $17,000 right away, or he would be held in contempt of court.
Which could mean potential jail time.
Detectives think that this is what pushed him over the edge.
This was a desperate act by a desperate man.
And when General Little goes on trial in March of 2018, it's his desperate financial situation that's central to the prosecution's case.
Their argument that they led with was the fact that he was in so much debt. And having to pay Barbara, his ex-wife, the alimony was really what drew him to losing it.
He was in debt with a lot of people, but Barbara had just gotten an order for him to pay her $17,000 immediately as part of the $68,000 that he already owed her.
The pressures of having to make those payments is all coming to a head. And when we don't feel like we have control in anything, we desperately try to seek ways to find control.
However, there was one person standing in his way.
On the day that he was served and ordered to immediately pay $17,000 that he did not have, he called his daughter
The daughter lived with her mother. He needed her out of the house. And so he invited her to meet him.
He goes out to dinner with his daughter all the time. So him inviting her out was like nothing out the usual.
Then, with his daughter out of the way and waiting for him at the diner, he'd gone to his ex-wife's house.
He knocks on the door. She lets him in.
Barbara opened the door as normal, like nothing was wrong, and before she knew it, she was attacked by General.
What's wrong with you? What are you doing? What are you doing?
He immediately begins to beat her mercilessly.
And he did not stop.
The forensic pathologist testifies that it's the most savage beating she's ever seen.
It was gory, and it was overkill.
For him to beat her the way that he did, this was energy and rage coming from years of just feeling trapped that had come to a head.
And when he finally stopped, his first thought was to hide what he'd done.
He tried to clean up the crime scene, but he realizes that it is just too much. There's blood literally everywhere.
So he left Barbara lying in the bathroom.
The thing that's just really diabolical about the entire situation, he left her there for his daughter to find her. Although, his daughter didn't find her, her brother did, he did not know that.
Then he drove to Walmart for rubbing alcohol and a towel to clean himself up, apparently tossing the murder weapon along the way.
We still don't know precisely what weapon was used to kill Barbara.
But his efforts to conceal his crime weren't entirely successful.
We had a good bit of physical evidence, first and foremost, DNA evidence. We had Barbara's blood in the defendant's car in a couple of places.
He not only missed some blood on the car, he also left the towel behind.
When they found his wedding ring, it appeared to have some sort of substance on it that looked like blood.
We also had her blood on a shoe that was found in his home. Beyond that, that same shoe was consistent with footwear impressions that were left at the scene that were also in blood.
But does that prove he killed her beyond any reasonable doubt?
The defense claims that although the prosecutors did prove that the blood found in General's car did belong to Barbara, they didn't prove how it got there. He could have gone to Barbara's house, walked in on a bloody scene, and then turned around and left.
The defense also argued that the back alimony wasn't enough to drive the mild-mannered doctor to commit such a heinous crime.
They admit that General Little was drowning in debt, but they say that that is no indication that he would have committed murder.
But in the end, that's not enough to explain away the mountain of evidence.
The defense's argument fails to sway the jury, and they find him guilty of murder.
He was sentenced to 30 years, which was the minimum for murder. But you have to remember that he was over 70 years old. So 30 years, in all likelihood, would be a life sentence.
And now Barbara's children will have to carry on without either of their parents.
Barbara's grandkids and children have to live without her. The most terrible thing about it is that it was at the hands of their father or grandfather.
What's so sad about it is that General had a very good relationship with his children, but for them to know that he took their mother away in such a brutal manner, it's a really hard pill for them to swallow.
And most of all, they can't believe that he did it over a few $1,000s.
Her life was worth so much more.
The bond between family can often seem unbreakable.
They shared a home together. They actually took care of each other.
He proposed, they had children. She devoted herself to him.
But what if that devotion comes at an unspeakable cost?
Secrets have a way of eating at you on the inside.
He said, let's do this. Let's show him what we're made of.
She's in a space where, do I support him?
When your man's rage spirals out of control, will you spiral down with him?
When you put all that pressure together, it's hard to resist that.
She did what she thought was necessary.
This is one of the ugliest crimes we've ever seen.
The devil was in him to kill and destroy.
She went head on, and she went all in.
August 19th, 2003. It's a sweltering summer day in DeKalb County, Georgia.
So DeKalb County is East Atlanta, a suburban area turned urban.
A lot of really small communities, highly residential.
There's a range of situations. You have wealthy and well-to-do politicians, the history of Black excellence, all the way down to crime, extreme poverty, and people who are really desperate to live day to day.
That afternoon, 52-year-old Dwayne Cowan is making his own desperate visit to the DeKalb County Police Station.
He's looking for his son, Kareem. He hadn't been to school and he hadn't been to work, so it kind of raised some alarms.
His son is 20 years old, and he hadn't heard from his son in a couple of days. He's not replying to text messages, he's not replying to phone calls, and he's not at home. That's not like him, to be completely out of touch.
When we think about young Black men in particular, there's so many things that they are faced with. So the first thing as parents is thought about, were they involved in a situation that they couldn't get out of? Are they in jail? Are they hurt?
In the pit of his stomach, he's feeling that something is off.
As a 20-year-old college student, Kareem Cowan was wise beyond his years.
Kareem was a pretty stand-up guy. People looked up to him, people sought him for advice.
Kareem was a respectable young man. Our daughter had a crush on him. Him and our sons, they was best of friends.
He was well-spoken, and, his mama was a professor at one of the colleges, and his daddy was an entrepreneur.
Kareem was an avid learner. He was involved with 2 different colleges. He even worked for some of the local universities.
In addition to Kareem's passion for academics, he was also dedicated to his faith.
He was honoring his family's tradition of practicing Islam.
In that particular faith, it requires a lot of discipline, but he was also very much integrating principles like integrity, honesty, truth. These are all things that comes with studying the Quran and the Muslim faith, and Kareem was right there in it.
I think at that age, trying to figure out where you are spiritually is tough because you're moving from your parents telling you what spirituality means to you figuring out what spirituality is. And you don't just figure it out in a year, you figure it out over a lifetime. So he was clearly at the beginning of that journey.
But would Kareem ever complete his journey to enlightenment? As his worried father speaks with police, they're beginning to fear the worst.
He was not the type of young man to just up and disappear.
Unfortunately, though, there's not much police can do at this time.
Kareem is an adult, so a lot of times when our adult children are missing, they're not necessarily missing, they're just living their life.
Police submitted the missing persons report. Other than that, for the family, it was just a waiting game.
Kareem's family decides to conduct their own search for the missing 20-year-old.
Kareem's family, they were driving around looking for him. They knocked on doors. They did everything that they could do to find out what happened to him.
We found out that Kareem, he was missing. His brother and his dad was looking for him and came to our house, asked me, have we seen Kareem? And I said, no. And he asked my boys, Frederick and Howard, have you seen Kareem, I said, no, man, nobody's seen him.
The next day, a grisly discovery turns the case on its head.
So this was around 4 p.m. on August 20th, over 48 hours since Kareem's family had last heard from him.
A neighbor to that neighborhood around Columbia Elementary School was just simply walking his dog, and he smelled something really bad. His dog was barking, and he really didn't know what to do.
The dog is going crazy, and he goes and he investigates really where the smell is coming from.
The smell leads him into a wooded area behind the school.
When he went into that wooded area, he was horrified by what he saw.
He saw a body lying there.
Shocked and horrified, the man dials 911. DeKalb County Police are on the scene within minutes.
The body was identified as a black male in his late teens or early 20s. He was naked, but he had like a sheet partially covering him.
There were no clothes, no items, nothing else around him.
They immediately noticed how bad he was beaten. They noticed a bruise across his chest. He had a swollen eye, a broken nose, contusions on his head, his face.
He also had burn marks to his groin area.
This is one of the ugliest crimes we've ever seen.
Whoever did this to him wanted him to suffer.
Upon further inspection of the area, it's clear whoever committed this crime didn't commit it here.
There was no blood anywhere around the scene. The only thing that was there was the body. And so they kind of draw the conclusion that the beating, the suffering, the torturing happened elsewhere, and this person was dropped off here.
After pulling up the database of recent missing persons, it doesn't take long for homicide detectives to identify the victim as 20-year-old Kareem Cowan.
They found that this report was placed by Dwayne Cowan, Kareem's father, and that the body matched the description that Dwayne gave.
However, countless questions still remain.
Kareem's community loved him. He wasn't ever believed to be in anything nefarious. The question was, why would someone commit such a heinous act?
Who would do something like this? You know, why such brutality? You know, it was so inhumane.
Police have to wonder, are they looking at multiple killers in this case?
Just the sheer amount of bruises and wounds alone showed that there may have been more than one person involved in his murder.
As night falls on DeKalb County, police begin scouring the area for any trace of the person or persons responsible.
The death is definitely a ripple effect. It definitely did not just affect Kareem and his family. It affected the entire community.
It hurt me. I can imagine how his mom and dad felt, his whole entire family. Because I wouldn't want that to happen to one of our kids or nobody else's kids in our neighborhood.
That evening doesn't produce any solid leads. But the next morning, detectives receive their first break in the case.
So, a tip comes in.
The streets begin talking.
Kareem was having beef with someone, and that man's name was Desmond Carr.
On August 21st, 2003, DeKalb County Police are investigating the brutal murder of Kareem Cowan.
Kareem was a 20-year-old college student focused on his faith journey.
You can see his desire for knowledge and his desire to keep growing as an individual, not just in education, but his religious beliefs.
Kareem's body was found bruised and beaten.
This was somebody that was tortured severely.
The forensics of the situation paint a really grim picture. And one of the most horrific things about it is that he was found behind a school. Thank God a child didn't find the body.
Investigators are determined to find out who committed this unthinkable crime and why. They release their findings to the local news media to see if anyone will come forward with information. And it quickly pays off.
There was a tip to the investigating police officers about who may have been involved in Kareem's death.
Kareem was having beef with someone, and that man's name was Desmond Carr.
Desmond lived in the exact same neighborhood as Kareem and his family.
The tipster explains that Kareem and Desmond were fighting over another neighborhood girl, Kareem's girlfriend, Whitney Reed.
Desmond was very interested in having a sexual relationship with Kareem's girlfriend and didn't mind if Kareem and his girlfriend kept their romantic relationship as long as he was able to get what he wanted. But Kareem was not in agreement with that.
Desmond started to kind of figure out what he can do to get back at Kareem because of his refusal to allow Whitney to hang around him. He comes up with this idea that, oh, you know what, I can steal this car.
A week before Kareem's murder, Desmond carried out his plan.
Kareem had a Ford, and Desmond Carr had actually stolen Kareem's vehicle out of his driveway. Apparently, Desmond had a universal key for Ford cars.
Their daddy worked at Ford, and he had master keys that he had when he was working with Ford, moved the Ford cars in the assembly lines.
Desmond drove it into Columbia Elementary's parking lot.
It's the same location where Kareem's body was later found.
He took it over to the same school area, broke out a window, damaged a couple of tires, and left it there.
When detectives check their database, the tipster story checks out.
They went ahead and looked in their database to see if there were any missing car reports, and there actually was. Kareem had reported his vehicle stolen.
The vehicle was eventually retrieved and no charges were ever filed.
But had Desmond's beef with Kareem escalated to murder?
When you do something as egregious as just steal someone's car, bust the windows out and put it in a parking lot, that is to say that there's something fueling this relationship between the two.
Detectives track down Desmond Carr and bring him into the station for questioning.
When Desmond is asked about stealing Kareem's cars, the first time he says no.
But when faced with the tipster's account, Desmond caves.
So after hearing that information, he went ahead and confessed. If you're lying about this, what else could you be lying about, right?
Desmond admitted that he was the one that stole Kareem's car.
Desmond insists it was all in good fun.
He said that he only stole the car to mess with Kareem.
He was just playing a joke on him.
He said that Kareem knew that it was him, he told him where the car was, and that it was nothing to be really serious about.
Kareem did call the police, which is on record. The police came out, and he decided not to press charges because he had his car, and he just didn't want the drama.
Desmond admits that there had been some friction between him and Kareem over Kareem's girlfriend, Whitney, but downplays it as no big deal.
He was trying to see Whitney, and Kareem didn't like it.
Desmond pretty much lays it out that she wants to hang around him, and he perceived that Kareem was denying her for that or getting in the way of that.
He was, as they refer to as, crabbing the hoe, which means that he wasn't willing to share Whitney with Desmond.
He felt like Kareem was wrong for trying to control her.
But Desmond insists he would never harm his friend.
He definitely made sure that they knew that he had nothing to do with the murder.
Desmond says that the night that Kareem went missing, he was at home with his family.
Desmond says his sister, LaShondra, and her fiancé, Joseph, can confirm his whereabouts.
He lived with them and their 2 children. When police contacted the couple, they confirmed what Desmond had claimed.
He had an alibi, so having nothing else, the police had to let him go.
But soon, detectives will learn that LaShondra Carr and Joseph Rayford can't be trusted, and that there is much more to this twisted story than they ever could have imagined.
Small things escalated into serious things very quickly.
That was a family that was acting like the mob.
In August of 2003, DeKalb County investigators have found themselves back at square one in their investigation of 20-year-old Kareem Cowan's murder.
The initial suspect, Desmond Carr, seemed to have an alibi for the night of the murder.
Desmond's sister, LaShundra Carr, and her fiancé, Joseph Rayford, confirm Desmond was home with them that night. But the next morning, a young woman comes forward that will challenge the Carr family's account.
Her name is Zuri Wilson, and she's a neighbor of Kareem's.
Zuri says the night of August 17th, there was a group of individuals at Kareem's house.
She says that everyone was arguing against Kareem and upset with him. It was alarming, and it definitely disturbed her.
Investigators asked if she can identify anybody that was in that group.
Zuri says she recognized LaShundra Carr and her two brothers, Desmond and Unri, along with LaShundra's fiancé, Joseph Rayford.
This was late at night, around midnight. Kareem's parents were fast asleep.
Zuri tells detectives she didn't stick around to see what happened. But after hearing about Kareem's murder, she couldn't help but wonder if the Carrs had something to do with it.
After thinking about it, Zuri wondered if this particular argument had something to do with Kareem's death.
With Zuri's statement in tow, detectives want to speak with Desmond Carr again, as soon as possible, along with the other members of the Carr family.
They pay a visit to the Carr home, which is just down the street from Kareem's place.
Joe Rayford answers the door, and he lets the detectives know that only he and his fiancée are there with their two kids.
Seconds later, LaShundra Carr appears.
Detectives are surprised to see that LaShundra is pregnant.
She certainly doesn't come off as the type of person that would be involved in a brutal homicide.
Detectives inform the couple that they would like for them to come back to the station to answer some questions regarding Kareem Cowan's murder.
Joseph said that Kareem was a friend of the family.
Joseph even goes as far as to say is that they were really good friends and had been for a while, and they were really saddened by Kareem's death.
The couple were confused about why police wanted to speak to them again about this.
Regardless, Joseph and LaShundra agreed to cooperate.
They arrange some childcare for their children, and they come to the station for more questioning.
Investigators sit down with Joseph first, and right away he doubles down on the story he was spinning at the house.
Joseph is projecting remorse about what has happened to Kareem, that he heard about it on the news, and, that it was really unfortunate, but he doesn't know anything about what took place.
That's when detectives reveal the information they've learned from Zuri Wilson.
The detectives let him know, we have an eyewitness account that said that we saw you arguing with Kareem on the night of the murder.
He goes quiet. He freezes up.
Joseph still swears he's innocent, but admits he hadn't told detectives everything he knew about that night.
He admits that they had gotten into an argument with Kareem that night, and it had to do with the beef between him and Desmond, but says they eventually parted ways.
Joseph says that later that night, he and LaShundra heard a commotion down the street.
Joseph stated that they got up and decided to go outside to see what the commotion was about, and he observed some of the guys in the neighborhood was actually hitting Kareem.
He named two people, Ponyboy and Jeter, as the individuals who were arguing with Kareem. Before he went back inside, he saw the guys throw Kareem on the back of a truck.
Joseph says he and LaShundra didn't want to get involved.
Joseph said that he just went back inside, closed the door. He and LaShundra watched TV.
It seems to me that this is a community where people don't intercede. The attitude is that I'm not going to get involved because getting involved doesn't benefit me in any way, and it could end up harming me. I'm going to just back off and let people handle their own business.
But if Ponyboy and Jeter are behind Kareem Cowan's murder, detectives need to find out who they really are.
Unfortunately, Joseph doesn't know their names or even where they live.
Hitting a dead end with Joseph, detectives decide to turn to LaShundra Carr. Will she back up her man's account of that night?
Secrets have a way of eating at you on the inside. And no matter how much you try to hide that or hold that secret, it's gonna come out.
August 2003, DeKalb County, Georgia. Detectives investigating the ruthless murder of 20-year-old Kareem Cowan have two suspects in custody. 23-year-old Joseph Rayford and his pregnant fiancée, 22-year-old LaShundra Carr.
A witness saw the couple arguing with Kareem on the night of the murder. But Joseph claimed that after that, Kareem got into another altercation with two men from the neighborhood.
Joseph tells police that Ponyboy and Jeter are the ones they should be looking for.
But will LaShundra confirm her man's account?
When detectives first met LaShundra, they didn't get the feeling that she was a criminal type. She was a mother, she was pregnant at this point, and she was very kind of mild-mannered, soft-spoken, meek.
To LaShundra Shanae Carr, family was everything.
She had two younger brothers, Desmond and Henri, who she was very close to.
The three of them shared a home together. They actually took care of each other.
And it was through her brothers that LaShundra met the man who would change her life forever, Joseph Rayford.
When LaShundra meets Joseph Rayford, she was smitten. She was very impressed with how handsome he was and just overtaken by his charm. And it was a huge plus that he got along with her two brothers.
They had so many things in common, and after that, it wasn't long until they were a couple.
Eventually, Joseph Rayford moved into the house with LaShundra and her brothers, which is a huge step. I mean, because now he enters into, a very sacred space for LaShundra, and he's now become a part of her family.
She felt safe with him. She could trust him. And she wanted him to trust her the same way. And so she devoted herself to him.
He proposed, they had children, and they were really trying to build a family together.
And their family was about to get even bigger.
She got surprised with some very exciting news. Her and Joseph were pregnant with twins.
I imagine that for her, she's having this fairy tale life. I now have my family. She has the man that she loves, and for her, it's a dream come true.
But now, the young mother is at risk of losing everything.
She's a suspect in the murder case. Detectives have eyewitness testimony of her arguing with the victim on the night he was killed.
Detectives tell her what the eyewitness told them.
Secrets have a way of eating at you on the inside. And no matter how much you try to hide that, hold that secret, it's gonna come out.
I think at that point she probably felt very threatened, and she was worried about, maybe I could go to jail for this.
She knew she had to come clean, and she agreed to tell them everything.
LaShundra explains that on the night of the 17th, she and her fiancé Joseph were at their house watching TV.
She said she put the babies to bed, the brothers were hanging out, and everything was fine.
But around 11:30 p.m., Desmond and Henri burst into the living room.
Desmond said the word on the street was that Kareem was talking smack about his family.
He claimed he heard this from Kareem's girlfriend, Whitney.
According to Desmond, he was going crazy. He was saying all kinds of things. He threatened to kill Desmond for stealing his car.
But that's not all.
Desmond had actually heard that Kareem allegedly had planned to kill their whole family, including Joseph and LaShundra's two children.
Now, this kind of threw detectives for a loop because this does not at all reflect the character of the man that they had been investigating.
It doesn't match what they know about Kareem. It doesn't match his personality.
LaShondra says her fiancé Joseph was livid.
Joe let LaShondra know that he would not let Kareem get away with threatening his family.
He wanted Kareem to pay for that, and Joseph expected LaShondra to be all in for whatever went down.
Joseph had a reputation in the community. He was the guy that you did not press his buttons. You did not want to mess with him.
Joseph, he was supposed to be this bad guy, you know, doing things, having his word, pushing it. So Shanae, she listened a lot to Joe, but Joe was the one that, let's take it to the next level. Let's do this. Let's show him what we're made of.
Joe told LaShondra that they were going to go to Kareem's house and handle it right now.
LaShondra is in a difficult situation. She obviously is a mother, and she understands that, you know, what has been said towards her family is wrong. And so she's in a space where, you know, do I support him?
When you put all that emotion together, you put all of that pressure together, and then you have this authority figure saying, you better back me up. It's hard to imagine that someone would be able to resist that.
Joe opened the door and said, let's go, and LaShondra followed.
But, LaShondra says, she never could have imagined the horror that would later ensue.
She never expected for things to get so out of hand.
What they did to this man, no one deserves.
In August of 2003, DeKalb County detectives are interrogating 22-year-old pregnant mother LaShondra Carr about her involvement in the heinous murder of 20-year-old Kareem Cowan.
LaShondra admits that after hearing the allegations of threats Kareem had made to her family, her fiancé Joseph wanted to punish Kareem.
Joseph then says, we're going right now. And so he opens the door. He tells LaShondra, let's go. She told detectives that she felt like she had no choice but to go with him.
Once Joseph decided that that was the plan, she followed suit along with Desmond and Unri, her brothers, and they all went over.
When they got down to Kareem's house, they found him outside smoking a cigarette.
He seemed surprised to see them pull up. And Joe confronts him about all of these things that he allegedly said about threatening his family.
So Joe starts going off, and Kareem is pretty confused about whatever Joe is talking about.
Kareem seemed shocked, and he tried to tell Joseph that he hadn't said those things, but by that time, it was falling on deaf ears.
Kareem denied any knowledge of the threats, but the argument still increased and it still got heated.
LaShondra says Joseph and her brothers grabbed Kareem and dragged him over to a vacant lot where they'd have more privacy.
The situation escalates, and Joseph and his brothers begin beating on Kareem.
According to LaShondra, she tries to get Joseph to stop. She yells, but there's no way she can stop him. And so she's just witnessing what's happening, the beating.
They stripped him naked. They beat him uncontrollably. They even urinated on him and burned his genitals with a lighter.
They kicked him in his head several times. They stumped him, kicked him in his chest. They beat him with a branch that was about 3 feet long, 1.25 inches thick.
Kareem was begging for help. He was asking for mercy. He was trying to tell them that they had it all wrong. He just wanted the suffering to stop.
He's pleading for his life.
The devil was in them to kill and destroy. They didn't care.
Eventually, Kareem stopped moving.
So after the beating, the brothers and Joe knew that they needed to put the body somewhere else.
Joseph instructed Unri to go get his truck and for LaShondra to follow behind them in her car.
He wanted LaShondra to be the lookout on their way to dump the body.
LaShondra admits that once again, she did as she was told. She felt like she had to trust her man in that moment.
They threw him in the back of the truck like he was a a piece of meat.
They proceed to drive to Columbia Elementary School, where they dump his body into the wooded area.
But before they leave, to their surprise, Kareem starts to move.
He was still alive. He was moaning. He was crying out. He was very much alive when they dumped him and abandoned him.
So I think the most heart-wrenching part of the story is that Kareem wasn't dead yet. The coroner said that they believe that had Kareem gotten help from the hospital or any medical help, that he would have survived.
They could have dropped him off in the hospital or had somebody else or, put him in a place where someone could see him to help him. But instead, they left him in the woods where nobody would know that he was there, and they let him die.
To investigators, LaShundra, Joseph, Desmond, and Henri are equally culpable in this horrendous crime.
They all took part in what happened to Kareem. It was truly unfathomable what they did to Kareem Cowan.
They were each indicted for malice murder, which is intentionally causing the death of another with malice aforethought, planning to kill. Malice murder is the highest form of murder in Georgia.
When police apprehend Desmond and Henri Carr, they give a similar account as their sister.
Essentially, they admit to their involvement. They tell police that the plan was to rough Kareem up a bit, to intimidate him, but it was never to kill him.
No one ever admitted that they themselves meant to kill him. Every one of them said that the beatdown grew on itself.
Like LaShundra and Joseph, Desmond and Henri were also charged with malice murder for their part in the crime.
Attorneys for all four defendants encouraged them to plead guilty and avoid a lengthy trial.
Considering the brutality of this homicide and the mountain of evidence, if they go to trial, they'd almost certainly risk receiving a harsh sentence.
Those lawyers knew, and I knew, that if any of these guys went to trial, they were going to get consecutive life sentences.
If they plead guilty, they'll be sentenced to life in prison, but could be eligible for parole after 14 years.
Joseph, Desmond, and Henri follow the advice of their attorneys and plead guilty. But LaShundra throws her attorneys for a loop.
She decides that she's not going to plead guilty and that she's going to fight this. LaShundra decides to go to trial.
In August of 2003, DeKalb County investigators have charged Joseph Rayford, his fiancée LaShundra Carr, and LaShundra's two brothers, Desmond and Henri, with malice murder.
The group beat and tortured their neighbor, 20-year-old Kareem Cowan, to death.
I'd prosecuted cases for 25 years. I'd never seen anything that brutally inflicted on one person that suffered for that period of time.
Joseph, Desmond, and Henri have all pled guilty, but prosecutors are shocked when LaShundra decides to take her chances at trial.
Stakes are really high for LaShundra right now. She has small children. She's pregnant with twins, and now she's facing murder charges. She went head on, and she went all in.
She wanted a trial, and we were going to give her one.
As prosecutors prepare for trial, LaShundra gives birth.
Since LaShundra was in jail awaiting trial and Joseph was already in prison, LaShundra's mother took custody of the newborn twins.
And when LaShundra's trial begins on July 12, 2004, prosecutors don't go easy on the young mother.
We proceeded under a party to a crime theory. So if you don't directly commit the crime, but if you help in any way, then any role you play in helping during the crime, you're a party to it, and you're as guilty of the crime as any of the other active participants.
But when it's her turn to take the stand, LaShundra stands by her claim that she was only a bystander to the atrocities of the night.
Her defense team says that because she did not lay a hand on Kareem, it was her fiancé Joseph and her two brothers who committed the crime, then she should not be held responsible.
She maintains that she did not want this to happen, that she was only there, as a witness.
But despite LaShondra's assertions, the gruesome details of this case aren't lost on the jury.
The jurors were aghast at the facts. There was jurors, you could just see the reaction on their faces when they were hearing the details of Kareem's body being found, that he laid there in the tree line for several days, and who knows how long he suffered.
There were plenty of opportunities for LaShondra to stop the torture, stop the beating. She could have dialed 911. She could have run for help. But instead, she chose to do absolutely nothing.
After the jury retires to deliberate, they quickly return with their verdict.
The jurors didn't take very long, a few hours.
They came back with a guilty verdict, and LaShondra was sentenced to life in prison plus 10 years.
That wasn't as severe as I frankly expected, but I think it's because several of the witnesses and in her own statement that she had never touched the body. She had never participated in the beating itself. I think the judge felt that was fair.
The judge tells LaShondra that she played a part in one of the most reprehensible, brutal, and disgusting crimes that he had seen in his 16 years of being a judge.
I don't think she cried or anything. I don't think she had no remorse whatsoever. That's the feeling that I got from her. And I don't even think she told the family she was sorry.
Kareem's death has left a void in his community that can never be filled.
Kareem was right at the beginning of his adulthood, and he was already moving on a trajectory to be someone great. We'll never get to see who that is or experience who that is, and his family won't either. And that is so unfortunate.
The Cowans, they was distraught from what happened to their child. It was heartbreaking, and we just wanted to be there for them. We wanted to support them, and we gave them our word we would be there with them from the beginning to the end. And that's what we did.
Ironically, LaShondra Carr's efforts to preserve her relationship with her man and the family they'd built together has ended up separating them forever.
She did what she thought was necessary to protect her fiancé and her nuclear family. It just didn't work out for her.
It was a turning point for her to have met Joseph and to gotten a relationship with him. It was a turning point for her to decide to have children with him. There are all these little decisions that at the moment you don't think of as setting the course for the rest of your life. But when you accumulate them over time and then you look at the event happening, it feels like it was almost inevitable.
Joe, he was just a young thug waiting to go to prison. That's all I see him as.
That type of blind trust really comes from a naive place of being in love. One thing led to another.